How free is the soul able to move to desired realities? Well, the soul in that sense is already in its desired reality. The whole idea in that sense is that you are only seeing a compression of a prism right here. This represents your reality. This is what you are seeing as a conscious self. Now, your soul is everywhere. It is every aspect of dimension. It is every aspect of being. It touches every atom. Every subatomic particle within creation is part of your soul. So your soul is the entire spectrum itself. You are only latched on to a very itty bitty little teeny weeny hue contained within that rainbow spectrum as a conscious self. So the soul, as it is the universe, as it is all that represents yourself, is unrestrained. You are simply an itty bitty little string that represents a morsel pertaining to your own soul's consciousness. That's it. So looking into the idea of this itty bitty little string coming through called George. That's it. Now this little string can only see so far. It can only do so much. It has certain forms of vibrational synergies that it is destined to communicate with and connect with, because it is this little itty bitty strand upon this infinite rainbow spectrum that is attempting to understand itself. And that therefore gives you the idea about how infinite the soul is. So the soul touches every aspect of creation. You touch only a certain morsel because you are only the string of this aspect pertaining to the rainbow spectrum of the soul. All right, let's move on into the next sub-question within that paragraph.
The last two questions are kind of related. How many oversouls represent all the people on Earth currently, and do oversouls merge?
That is uncountable. You cannot really, in that sense, mention the idea of the amount of oversouls, because the reason being is because many of you come from many different dimensions. The understanding is that there are many different aspects pertaining to beings that have actually merged themselves and come onto this planet to incarnate. So the idea of the amount of oversouls is indeterminate. Now, some people may say, oh, it's 72 oversouls, it's 144 oversouls, etc. That's only talking about a certain nodule branch. That's not talking about all other particular interconnectedness. Souls themselves, yes, are the idea of spawned children, souls that come from oversouls. But these oversouls in that sense also have parent oversouls as well. You have to understand in that sense that it's looking at a very long tree, and that this tree has many, 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 many different branches, and that these sub-branches connect with a node, and that creates a particular form of branch, creating more, and they connect to nodes, and so on and so forth. So yes, some people have stated that there is a certain finite number, but that is only talking about one particular unit as it relates to a specific archetype. So again, really, when we're looking at all of the archetypes upon your planet, in regards to the human, in regards to the animal, in regards to the plant, vegetation, the elements, everything that represents different dimensions, it is indeterminate. It's like looking at a fractal snowflake and attempting to count the branches that continue to pop up again and again and again and again and again. So your oversouls are indeterminate. So again, there are many different beings, billions of different beings that have come here from different realms, from different oversoul collectives, and have actually inherited themselves here. So you could say that one branch here tied to the wrist represents one oversoul collective. But now you look at another being, and now it goes up into the elbow, and that represents another oversoul collective, and so on and so on and so on. So the whole idea in that sense is that it's not about a finite number pertaining to the idea of the number of oversouls. Again, understand truly in all respect, many of you still don't understand what an oversoul is. The whole idea of an oversoul in that way is a collector. They are a node. They are basically a hive in that way, a honeycomb. And that when you basically leave this life, the string that tethers yourself as this soul, as a projection, comes back together into the oversoul, into the parent body. Now understand that an oversoul is not, shall we say, just this big gigantic orb of light. And you're just going back into this big gigantic orb of light, and now you start seeing a bunch of honey cells everywhere. No. It's true that it can represent that, but another host body that is actually in stasis, that has actually projected the aspect of its consciousness and allowed that aspect of consciousness to incarnate upon the planet is an oversoul. So therefore, another being that is actually creating this projection of consciousness that incarnates into the human body, such as you, George, for example, is the idea of an oversoul. But that's another being existing in another reality, in another dimension. Here's the thing for you as well. When you project your consciousness to another point in space and time, you are now acting as an oversoul. What does that mean? It's because you are the parent of that consciousness that is projecting itself into another dimensional reality and being able to observe everything that takes place within that reality. You manifest a physical body. The physical body goes through all of its endeavors pertaining to that realm and has all of these experiences. The physical body now ceases. The consciousness now starts to retether itself back into you, which was the host pertaining to that projection that you have just created. That is an example of an oversoul. So an oversoul is still a soul. It is not something that is beyond a soul. That's not what it means. To be an oversoul, again, is to be a collector that is actually manifesting these different forms of projections and sending them off into creation. This can be a living being in stasis. It does not have to be this wondrous, beautiful ball of light that has all these honey cells in it. That is only an analogy. It's looking into the idea that the observers, that the collectors are now bringing back the projections of consciousness from what they have cast out. So that can exist in many different dimensions. You as a human being right now, if you were able to mentally discipline your mind to bilocate, to go into different astral projection states and actually experiencing all these different realms, even in the astral body, you have now become an oversoul. And now, poof, 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 those projections return to you, and now you obtain their memories. Congratulations, you've had an oversoul experience. So this is why we say it is an indeterminate amount, because anybody can become an oversoul. That's how it works. All right, thank you.